Hey guys, which interesting video on Wild Rifts. They're back with a Kai'Sa supplementary guide, and this is just a screenshot, so I'm not going to be able to tap on items and etc. But anyways, let's just jump straight into it. So this Kai'Sa build is kind of the build that's being used by like the top 5 or so players on the Kai'Sa leaderboard. I have made a little bit of adjustments to it, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But basically, the premise of the build is going Stormrazor into Wit's End. And why are we doing that? Basically, this is the fastest way to get your Q and E evolve both, and also it gives you a lot of lifesteal and attack speed from the Wit's End. So basically, you start off with double BF sword to get your Q evolution, as usual with all Kai'Sa builds. Then you generally go into Stormrazor. Of course, you can get boots after double BF sword, or you can get boots after Stormrazor, or you can get boots even after Wit's End. But basically, double BF sword gives you your Q evolve, then you get Stormrazor, and then you get Wit's End, which gives you your E evolve. And afterwards, because you already have your E evolve, you go for your IE, and then afterwards you complete your Lord Dominic's Regards, and then you have a final item slot which you can kind of pick and choose what you want to put there. Normally it's a crit item, so you get 100% crit. I've seen between the top Kai'Sa players, I've seen Slurry Charge Blade, I've seen Rapid Fire Cannon, I've seen Bloodthirster, and I've not seen any Runan's Hurricane. But personally, I love Runan's Hurricane on Kai'Sa because of the fact you can apply your passive onto multiple people at the same time. So I think that personally, I like Runan's Hurricane, so I'm putting it there. But of course, the last slot is flex, and it's sort of personal preference as to what you want to put there. So next, we move on to the interesting part, which is the runes. So for the runes, between the top Kai'Sa players, some of them go for Lethal Tempo and some of them go for Kraken Slayer. Now, there are arguments for both, because firstly, Lethal Tempo, in the later stages of the game, when you have a lot of attack speed, you have Lethal Tempo for even more, and you can just DPS people to death. Whereas, I think Kraken Slayer is a lot stronger in the earlier stages of the game, because you already have attack speed from Stormrazor and Wit's End. You don't necessarily need that much attack speed, especially when you're going with my build that also has Runan's Hurricane, or if you're going for Rapid Fire Cannon or Slurry Charge Blade, you have 3 attack speed items. You don't necessarily need any more attack speed. So what Kraken Slayer gets you is, in the early game you get that true damage after every 3 autos. In the late game you also get that same damage, but I think likely in the late game Lethal Tempo would have given you more in terms of DPS. But Kraken Slayer is still a really good rune and really strong for the early game, and also strong for the late game, but just not as strong as Lethal Tempo in my opinion. And then for the rest of the runes, it's pretty standard stuff. We go for Hunter Vampirism for the lifesteal, Bone Plating for the anti-burst, as well as Hunter Genius for the cooldown reduction. And for the spells, obviously it's going to be Exhaust and Flash. Nothing fancy here. And with all that out the way, let's move on to talking about the gameplay. Okay, so now on to the gameplay itself. So this is, personally, you can take this build in any sort of matchup you want. I'm pretty sure all of the top Kai'Sa players take this build in every single match. But personally, for me, I like going for Crit Kai'Sa, because I think that this is Crit Kai'Sa, but I like going for Wit's End as a last item, not as a second item, because I think that delaying your crit power spikes doesn't really, it's not really my style. So I like going for crit items, 4 crit items as my first 4 items, whereas this build does not involve doing that. So I personally took it this match because I liked the Wit's End early, when there is so much magic damage on the enemy team. So we obviously have Katarina, we have Seraphine support, and we have the Singed in the top lane. So 3 sources of magic damage, and Katarina is a huge source of magic damage. So I thought going for Wit's End as a second item made a lot of sense in this particular matchup. So for me, I only want to build this in matchups where there's heavy AP on the enemy team. But I think for most of the top Kai'Sa players, they do like taking this every single match, but I just personally don't. And obviously, you always want to go for the build that makes you the most comfortable. Here, I kind of whiffed the W onto the Twitch there, so unfortunately Twitch does win the trade with the help of the heal from the Seraphine, but Overall, Twitch, as I mentioned in like my Twitch videos, is pretty much one of the worst like champions to fight with in the early game. So overall, it shouldn't be too big of an issue for us. He did win that trade, but it's not going to be too big of a deal. Here, we burst the Seraphine down. She's pretty much 1 HP. If I flash, I could have gotten the kill on her, but instead, we're going to kill the Twitch instead, which is going to be more valuable anyways. As I mentioned again, Twitch kind of sucks at fighting in the early game, so you really shouldn't take fights as Twitch in the early stages of the game, unless they're super winning kind of fights, which this is definitely not. So here we're trying to conduct a dive onto the Seraphine. So here, I use my Q and walk out of tower range for Nami to finish off the kill, which she does end up doing eventually. However, Katarina pops out of nowhere and kills us, so that's kind of unfortunate because obviously Katarina with a very good rotation here, no missing pings coming up from the Lux here, so we weren't aware that Katarina was coming up. By the way, guys, personally my belief is that every laner should be pinging when their enemy is missing, and if the guy randomly shows up in someone else's lane, I personally think that it is the fault of the laner to not ping, because when people are like in intense like 1v1, 2v2 like micro fights, you don't have the time to look at the minimap because you're focused on killing your opponent, dodging their skill shots, and etc. You wouldn't possibly have any time to look at the minimap anyway. So it's up to your teammates to make you aware of the fact that an enemy is missing, using their pings, of course, which I do all the time. Really, the Katarina killing us there can't really be helped because we wouldn't have known that she was coming up anyways. But anyways, it's not too big of a deal. What's happened has happened, so we're just gonna move on and continue on with our laning. Right, so here Nami hits a bubble, Seraphine hits the root. I'm just trying to burst the Seraphine with as much damage as I can. And yeah, so Kai'Sa kind of does have pretty, not the greatest of ranges. But anyways, we're just gonna back. We're gonna pick up the second BF sword and we get our Q evolve. And this is of course the first major power spike of Kai'Sa. Haven't done a Kai'Sa video in quite a while, and I actually haven't played Kai'Sa for quite a while because I've been enjoying like the other champions like Zeri and Twitch new releases, or relatively new releases, I guess you could say. And yeah, I just felt like playing Kai'Sa this match, so I just picked up the Kai'Sa again, and obviously the match went pretty good, which is why we're seeing this video. Here I get rooted by Seraphine again, but honestly it doesn't matter because we do have the bone plating and there's no follow-up. This is kind of a demonstration of why bone plating is so good. I guess you can see I barely took any damage here. If you guys saw the level 1 just now when I was in the bush and Seraphine tossed her Q into the bush, I barely took any damage there as well. So that's kind of like the power of bone plating and why bone plating is so strong in the current meta. Right, so here the Dragon and Herald are gonna spawn really soon. Here I'm just trying to get priority here, but it looks like we're not gonna really do the Dragon anyways because Wukong is on the other side of the map. He is now recalling though, so it could be a possibility. So we just want to be ready if we do end up doing the Dragon. Wukong's pinging that he's going for the Herald, so it looks like we are not going to be doing the Dragon, so no big deal here. We can just push out this wave and see if we can do anything to them. Twitch kind of tries to pick a fight. I end up getting Seraphine ulted and exhausted, but it doesn't really matter because I don't actually take any tower aggro. Here I can just burst down the Seraphine. Here I could have actually ulted in to try to finish off the Twitch, but I was pretty low, and once again the Katarina and even the Kha'Zix this time shows up, and once again we end up dying. Once again, no missing pings coming out, so we don't know that the Katarina is actually coming up there. So once again, we do end up just dying to the Katarina. Although if we committed to the Twitch, we might have been able to kill him before we died to Katarina. Like if we just ulted in, we probably could have killed him. But at that point, I didn't really want to just use my ult, especially because I wasn't at a very healthy state. Anyways, we end up basically trading Herald for Dragon. And enemy team picks up the Dragon, we pick up the Herald, and we also get the plates in the mid lane. Now, I don't get it, but like Wukong and I think Lux probably got it. So here Katarina gets caught, gets rooted. Here I ult in to try to damage her, but unfortunately Seraphine is in the area for Katarina to jump to, so we are not able to finish her off. Here Kha'Zix tries to catch me out, but he doesn't really do that much damage so far. Beautiful route by the Lux to kill both the Twitch as well as the Katarina. And because of that, we're going to be able to pick up the mid lane tower. And Seraphine gets flashed on and dies as well. So here I'm just going to rotate back over to the top lane. And there is obviously a huge wave that's starting to stack up over there, so I'm just going over there to, of course, just pick up the wave itself. Right, so here the plates are basically going to fall off, so no plates for me. I'm just going to pick up this wave, and then Twitch comes in here. So let's look at this. I'm at half health, I exhaust him, he exhausts me, and I still win the 1v1. This is why I was saying in my Twitch video that taking exhaust on Twitch doesn't even matter. It's more better to take ghost and play for late game fights, because even if you exhaust the enemy ADC and they exhaust you, you're definitely gonna lose. Like, I was at half health there, he used his ult, he used everything, and I still just killed him. I didn't even ult. So Twitch really cannot fight people 1v1 in the early game at all. So don't even bother trying, basically. Anyways, my team manages to clean up the kills in the top lane after I recalled, and off of that we're gonna be able to pick up this top lane tower. Twitch is sticking around the tower for some reason, even though he sees 3 people here. I Q onto the Twitch, ult over, because I still have my ult like from not using it just now when killing Twitch, and I basically just kill the Twitch again. He respawns, walks to the lane, and dies again. So Lux is picking up the mid wave, so I'm just gonna go for the Skull Crab instead. No real point, fighting your own teammates to get gold from the minions. But yes, I pick up the Skull Crab. I'm just gonna pick up the Gromp as well. Just finding farm wherever we can. Well, nothing too much interesting happening here. Just gonna pick up the wave, and then we can just back and continue getting our items. Wits End completed, as you guys can see, which gives us our E evolution. And we're doing pretty alright. We're 5-2-2 at the current stage of the game. Doing good in terms of goal, most goal in the game so far. And yeah, so again, just clearing out another wave, nothing too much happening. Probably gonna wait for like a team fight to happen at this upcoming Herald, I believe. So my team is kind of just waiting for Herald to spawn to do the Herald. In the meantime, Irelia is going up to like 1v1 the Singed, while the rest of us take the Herald. Enemy team doesn't look like they're contesting, because we can see Katarina and Seraphine in the mid lane, so it looks like a free Herald for us. I end up hitting the eye and I end up picking up the Herald, but here we can see Singed is on the run, and here I'm just going to ult over, get the quick kill onto the Singed. Katarina goes in to try to do something about the situation, but she gets exhausted, she gets ulted by Wukong, she dies, and Twitch is next up on the menu. So here we pick up a quick triple kill, and using the Herald we're going to be able to push this tier 2 tower like so. Herald does die really quick because Kha'Zix has the isolation damage. I get charmed into the tower, I flash out. Don't know if I really even needed to flash there, because I could have probably just walked out. But anyway, we finish the tower, and we can just kind of back off afterwards. There's a blue buff here for the taking, so I'm just going to pick that up real quick. Excuse me. So I was planning to recall here, but because I'm really strong at this stage, I was thinking that a fight could be possible, but my whole team is kind of backing off, so I'm just going to run away as well. Katarina does hit the dagger into the jump on us, but we are able to actually finish off the kill on her. Get rooted, but and I do use the stasis to buy a little bit of time, but actually I don't have the stasis. What am I talking about? That was a different fight, which is gonna come up later. Obviously I know what's gonna happen in this game because I just played this match, so that wasn't the fight that I used stasis. But yeah, I guess that's sort of like a spoiler for what's gonna happen later. But anyways, Wukong goes in on the Singe, and Lux picks up the kill. And then they're just gonna kind of just walk away. So, well, since we have a little bit of downtime, I'm gonna mention a problem that you guys will see really soon, which is that Wukong, while he is pretty alright at playing the champion, and his KDA is good the whole match, he doesn't actually die the whole match. He is kind of a horrible smiter. So we're gonna see this real soon, where he's gonna get this dragon stolen by the Kha'Zix, despite 5 of us being in the pit. Now I can't go over the wall to zone the Kha'Zix because I don't want to fight Kha'Zix in isolation. That's not a good idea. Kha'Zix here steals the dragon, but I get the shutdown for his efforts. Unfortunately though, I get hit by Seraphine's ultimate, and Katarina finishes off the kill onto me, but we do end up losing the dragon. So here I completed my my IE, so I'm kind of at a strong power spike where I have 3 items. We have the double crit item together with the Wits End, so we're doing pretty alright. Now got the stasis completed as well, so we're gonna be able to stasis next time like a Katarina or Kha'Zix just randomly jumps in onto us. Alright, so now off the respawn, we're just gonna hit over, I believe, to the red buff. Yeah, so here Wukong somehow just randomly just flashes away. I have no idea what he's doing here. He smites and flashes. I don't know what's going on. Like I think he just fat fingered, but we gotta give him a question mark for that. And yeah, so here only really Baron is up, and obviously neither team is really strong enough to like just straight up do Baron. My team is kind of pretty far ahead of the enemy team, but we don't really just want to randomly do Baron. Now here my plan was to set a trap because this blue buff was up, so I was thinking someone is going to walk here and we're going to be able to set a trap for them. Now unfortunately Nami stands outside the bush, so like the trap has basically just failed because they can see Nami outside the bush, so the trap's not going to work out. So anyways, instead we just end up just stealing their jungle camps, which is still good, but I think we probably could have gotten a kill there. Anyways, here Twitch tries to do a little bit of damage to Irelia, but this Twitch is so far behind. He's only at 2 items, and he has like a Bork and a Storm Razor. He's not really going to do any damage. So we should be pretty good in terms of that situation. The only real threat on the enemy team is Kha'Zix and Katarina. Like Katarina does have quite a number of kills, and she is going to be able to do quite a little bit of damage, and Kha'Zix as well if we find someone isolated. Now here, I kind of mess up here because I end up ulting in onto a Katarina who is in stasis, and because of that I find myself in the middle of the enemy team, and I of course find myself dead. Very logical conclusion as to what happens when you jump into the entire enemy team. Here Twitch tries to get something done, but again Twitch doesn't really do damage. So here Wukong ends up hitting onto the Singed, and Singe does end up dying instead. Wukong goes on a rampage, and the fight sort of continues. Katarina tries to go in. Kha'Zix goes in. Barrier from the Lux helps her survive, but because Lux and Irelia went in separate directions, Lux is obviously going to end up dying because Lux becomes isolated. They should have both ran in the same direction. I'm not even sure why Lux ran down towards the dragon pit. Like, she should have followed Irelia into our jungle. That was really weird movement. But anyways, here we have respawn, and a fight is kind of breaking out in the middle lane. Wukong is going in, and no more fight is happening. So here I'm just going to farm the jungle. I see Kha'Zix pushing in, but I don't really want to walk up to that wave because he can just jump on me and possibly one-shot me with his electrocute. Still thinking a fight might happen, so I'm posturing towards the mid lane, but it looks like nothing's happening. Now here I got my exhaust ready and my ult ready, so here I control war. I was expecting Kha'Zix to be in that bush, but he was not. So instead I'm just going to clear up these minions real quick and then move on to taking the red buff. Now Wukong is on the opposite side of the map this time, so I'm not going to wait for him to get the red buff. I'm just going to finish up for myself, and then we can move on to doing the Krugs, pretty much taking the entire red side jungle. And then there's also a wave over here, so we're also going to take the wave. Of course you want to keep up your farm and just basically get as much gold as possible to hit your items more quickly. Already have the last whisper, and we're of course building towards the LDR. And here once again trying to set a trap in the enemy jungle. However, this bush is actually warded, but I'm just standing here anyways. I end up wasting a Seraphine ultimate. Now this is huge because Dragon is spawning in 25 seconds, so Seraphine isn't going to have her ultimate for the upcoming Dragon fight, which basically is huge. Our entire team has their ultimates. Kha'Zix just randomly jumps in. He has to ult out as well, so no Kha'Zix out, no Seraphine out for the upcoming fight. Basically, as long as we don't like do anything egregiously stupid, this should be like a relatively free Dragon, but of course we know that Wukong is not really the best smiter in the world. As a matter of fact, we're trying to do the dragon here, but Wukong is sort of trying to tell us to back away. Like, he doesn't want to do the dragon, which is really strange, because what else are we going to do? So here, me and Irelia are starting out the dragon. We pull it out from the pit to make it harder for Kha'Zix to do. You can see Wukong trying to back here and trying to tell us to not do the dragon, which doesn't make any sense. So here, we basically end up securing the dragon using the Kai'Sa passive, and Wukong doesn't even come for the smite, even though he's just standing around in the area. So yeah, kind of at this point I completely lost faith in the Wukong and his jungling ability, because it's obvious that he doesn't know what he's doing basically. So here, Sinch tries to flash away, tries to get away, but I can ult to follow him. He flings me back, and I'm just gonna flash to secure the kill onto the Singed. And yeah, so he gets punished for split pushing. And of course, back to farming, gonna pick up the jungle camp, gonna pick up the mid lane minions. Going for the wolves as well. Pretty much just taking anything we can find. Now we can back, and hopefully we have enough gold to pick up our LDR. Yep, there we go. So LDR completed. And of course we're going to start building toward our Runaan's Hurricane. Getting the dagger component first, because more attack speed is of course going to be helpful. So here again we have the red buff up. We're just going to quickly pick up the red buff, like so. I actually popped the plant there to check the Baron, because I didn't see anybody on the enemy team at all, so I thought they could be possibly sneaking a Baron, but afterwards we can see Seraphine, now we can see Twitch and Katarina, so obviously that's not happening. But here we're waiting to try to set another trap, because the reason why we're trying to set traps so much is because we know Wukong can't smite, so the best thing we can do is to kill the enemy team before we do the objective, so that we can secure the objective safely without Kha'Zix coming in to steal it. But anyways, Irelia ends up starting the Baron, and here I'm starting the Baron as well, but I'm ready to turn onto the enemy team if they come. Kha'Zix instantly jumps on the Lux and just kills her straight up, so that's kind of not good. Here, a fight sort of is going to break out. Nami hits the ulti until all of them on the choke point, and here we are able to finish off the kill onto the Twitch, as well as the Seraphine. And now Katarina is the next target. There goes Katarina. Katarina goes down. And Sinch again is still split pushing, so here it's only Kha'Zix left to defend the mid lane. Wukong is backing to, of course, put a stop to the Sinch split pushing, and here we are going to pick up the tier 2 tower. Irelia tries to go on Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix just jumps away. Now here I felt that me and Irelia could have worked together to take this inhibitor, but because Irelia went away, I can't do that anymore, because I cannot 1v1 a Kha'Zix, because I'm going to be isolated and I'm going to take a lot of damage. So Elder Dragon has just spawned, but both teams are kind of just dead. So in the meantime, I'm just picking up the enemy's jungle monsters, and here I got enough to get my Runaan's Hurricane. So while my team is respawning and walking towards the Elder Dragon, I'm going to back and pick up Runaan's Hurricane. Now this brings me to full build. So in this fight, I should be like, you know, at full strength basically. So I'm ready to fight. So here you can see the whole enemy team is making their way toward the Elder Dragon as well. Initially we were trying to get a fight before we do the Elder Dragon, but you can see that this is really difficult, because the enemy team sort of isn't really together and isn't really fighting. So Sinch is putting a lot of pressure simply by pushing in the mid lane. So we're forced to like do something, aka start the Elder Dragon and try to secure it before the Singed pushes too far now. Again, Wukong is very distracted. We need Wukong to be here to smite the dragon, but obviously he is not. So Kha'Zix comes in for the steal. I end up killing the Kha'Zix. I ult over to try to kill Katarina, but I end up picking up the Seraphine instead. And here you can see Twitch. I flash over, get the kill onto the Twitch. Here Singe is on the inhibitor already, so we have to quickly recall to stop him. But we don't need everybody to recall, and everybody basically just ends up recalling to stop the Singed. So thankfully Wukong cancels his recall, and here we're just going to finish the kill onto the Singed as well, meaning only Katarina is left alive. Now basically, since everybody is dead, we should be able to get a free Baron, because even though Wukong can't smite, there isn't anybody here to steal it. I can't possibly see Katarina coming in to steal a Baron, but especially because Katarina is on the opposite side of the map. But anyways, here we should be able to finally get an objective, and yeah, this is like any other solo queue game where you have a horrible jungler who can't smite for their life. He lost us a dragon, lost us a elder dragon as well, and nearly lost us another dragon because he wasn't even there for the smite. If Kha'Zix even tried, that would have been another free dragon for the enemy team. But anyways, here we finally pick up the Baron, and with the Baron we can possibly try to push. Nami and Irelia are just coming out of base, so we do want to kind of just wait for them just a little bit, but of course giving the Baron buff to the minions to make the minions harder to clear. Katarina is the only person on the team with Elder buff still active, so we do have to be careful of the Katarina. She's also kind of the most dangerous, because when she gets a reset she can just kill us all. She also has a GA, so that makes it even harder. So here I'm trying to siege the mid lane tower while Wukong is pushing the top lane. Me and Nami are just trying to pressure in mid, to try to get some members to kind of respond to us while our team is pushing in top. Kha'Zix tries to come in behind for the assassination onto Nami, but unfortunately he doesn't quite get it because I'm there to kill him off. Here I just ult straight into the enemy base to pick up the kill on Twitch, and I'm stuck in between two towers, but it doesn't really matter because enemy team can't kill me anyway. I'm just DPSing and killing Singed for the triple kill. And here I'm just running away because it's Katarina and she can easily kill me to get a reset, and I don't want that to happen, so I'm just running away. Here, now that Katarina has also ran away, we can easily finish off the game. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.